Oh, I am between lunch, no? Your lunch. And I was telling a friend when he texted, is your show done? I said no, and I'm quite nervous because I don't know a lot of faces. I only know like 3 of them. I met Irene at the restroom before we came in. Are you still in the same seat? Yeah, she's there at the back. And she said, you have a nice skirt. And so I'd like to start by saying, it worked. Because even if you don't remember what I'm going to say, I know you will remember my skirt from Kalinga. And I was seated there beside Grace, Custodio. I met her also. But I think she stepped out. And so I'm starting the talk with having met 2 new, hopefully future friends. And have you said hi to your seatmate? No, not really. Can you ask your seatmate, how are you? And can you respond, I am blessed? Oh, beautiful. Oh, I know Robert Walker. I met him last November during the Asia CEO Awards. When Richard sent me the email and he said, you have to tell a lot of things that people don't know about you. I said, what the heck? They don't know me anyway. But you have to do that in 15 to 20 minutes. What the heck? I need a telenovela, for you to know. He said, my failures, the things that I have learned along the way in my career. And so I thought, there was a question earlier, what is it that will make you powerful? And I thought, maybe this is the one, the power of to be authentic, to be just you, to be your brand, to speak your truth, to walk your talk. And so that's what I'm going to share with you this morning. And let me start with this photo. This is a favorite old photo of me. I usually show that to new friends. And like yesterday, I vetted that with JV Wong, the CEO of People Ignite. I told JV, I'll show you this picture. And she said, oh, you're so cute. You're so adorable. And she zoomed it and she said, oh, yeah, you're so nice. And is that your kuya, your older brother? I said, no, that boy is me. So that's the first secret, Richard. Before Professor X founded the school for youngsters who are gifted, I was the original X-Men. And I have my own superpowers. And that's also another thing that you don't know about me. So I grew up, and up to I was like 5 years old here, and my younger sister, Malu, who's the welfare attaché in Toronto, Canada, and has helped Richard and Rebecca last year. So Miss Owen can get in touch with her too. Our father expected a panganay, the firstborn, to be a son. And so I was dressed like that till, I could not make and buy my own dresses. And I grew up being second fiddle to my cute little sister. And my father used to call her Miss Universe. And I was left to play with the boys. So I'm adept at kick baseball, if you know that. There are 4 bases, you kick the ball, you run around. And grew up very fit. In school, I was the defender of the oppressed and the bullied. I would wait at the science garden for Mario. I remember the bully in the group. And he would always pick at Christina. After school, I would kick my shoes, wait for him, and when he is not there, I would box him. So I was the original Avenger too. And we were poor. My father was a public school teacher, and he was a mathematician. So his other disappointment with me was I loved the social sciences. My younger sister went to Philippine Science High School and did chemical engineering, while I did political science at UP and pursued law because I realized at a very early age, at 12, I said, the only people who are powerful in the Philippines are the politicians. And I think they're mostly lawyers. So for me to become the president of this country, I have to be a lawyer first. At the age of 12, I failed the Philippine Science High School exam and cried for a week because I said, how come I'm the school valedictorian and my salutatorian passed? And so I was, coerced to take on a scholarship with sa Colegio de Santa Isabel, with the nuns. And I hated it because I'm a boy. But I had to do that. I had to accept a scholarship from a group of Bicolanos in Chicago, in USA. So I graduated and said, I'll make do with this. And I sing very well, so I formed a choir in grade school, I was part of the annual regional champion in the national music competition. So my best friend is a world-renowned soprano, Ana Maria Aldecoa. You should invite her to speak and sing. So finally, come fourth year high school, Sor Catalina, the dean of the College of Music, said, Antoinette, we have a scholarship for you in voice. But I said, sister, yes, you have a voice for the chapel. Because we would sing for the community. And I told him, sister, I already passed UP, and I'm going to UP. Yeah, but you don't have resources. How are you going to study there? I will find a way, and God will provide. My mother was a full-time housemaker. She would do, mundane jobs on the side. She would wash the clothes of our neighbors, and most of them were doctors, so most of our medical and health needs were for free because she knew the doctors in the community. And that was not the worst part of it. My father, being a public schools teacher, we were not the only family. So growing up, I was witness to, I've lost count, so I will be truthful. So I don't know how many co-families I grew up with. No? And then we were all in the same street. So can you imagine the trauma? But I said, no. So I told my younger siblings, we have a youngest brother, who went to Philippine high school for the arts. I told them, no, never mind. Just focus. We will get educated in the best schools, and we will get out of poverty by our own effort. But that did not happen. We rose out of poverty not by our own effort, but with a lot of help from others and by the grace of God. And so I went to UP. So at the age of 18, I looked for work so that I could finish poli-sci, and on the side, watch a movie and get a bottle during Friday drinks with my org mates. And in law school, I was doing 2 jobs, so I was in the evening program. I was teaching at the political science, and I started in government as a contractual employee at the Department of Labor on a child labor project. So I've toured the country, the direst communities, the most underserved, where families get their children to work at a very young age. And so growing up, some of the not so nice things I grew up with taught me the reverse to have virtues of my own and the values that I have held throughout my career. I won't tell you all of them because any self-proclaimed virtues are self-serving. So the evidence, that's for you to find out. But I hope that this is one evidence that will continuously affirm what I've done in my life. In 2009, and I always tell others with much pride, I am the only person at TOYM of the country in the field of human resource development in government. Last December, when we awarded, I checked the roster. I said, okay, no one has received it in that category. And so when people ask, why are you 10 outstanding young men? Shouldn't there be an award for outstanding women? I said, the judges knew I had balls. And so this is consistent, right? This was 2009. Before that, and the year after that, was a major event in my life. It was life-changing. Which brings me to why I say being authentic is the true source of power. Because being authentic requires us to, at the same time, be vulnerable, and what Tita Bing said, to have integrity and to be transparent in our lives. In 2010, I decided to seek a psychologist because I have been long entertaining the thought of filing an annulment. I was long suffering from my marital situation. This is the only second public event where I'm saying this. The first one was yesterday in Sofitel, where I managed the whole day CES, Career Executive Service Leadership Conclave. And since I'm saying goodbye to the community, I told them this story. And I said, that time, I was crying rivers before my husband. And then I told him, you really have to do something because I am at a point in our lives when I already know by discernment why I have not been able to push this annulment papers forward. And then he said, and what is that? I said, well, I'm an overachiever. Whatever I've set my heart and mind to do, I achieve it by hard work and prayer. But now, I'm okay. I'm okay to contend with the reality that there is an aspect in my life where I have failed, and that's my marriage. But Stephen Covey, in his book, Speed of Trust, he says, well, results are gauged differently and they're measured differently. You could have succeeded in your marriage, but your children could be dysfunctional because of the situation that they see in the family. And it was precisely for that reason that I filed my papers. The psychiatrist of my son, who was diagnosed as an Asperger is high-functioning autism, at about the same year. The psychiatrist called me early morning and said, Tonette, you have to cut fast and clean. And so I did it for my son. But I knew deep in my heart, I was also doing it for myself. And so my journey to become vulnerable started. Because I'm a type A person. I'm a perfectionist. But it's okay. I said, it's okay not to be perfect. But I always will strive to be genuine. So the next slide, I will show you a few slides where these are the byproducts of my journey as a vulnerable woman in the government. That's Christian Sugitan, a career officer with the Department of Agrarian Reform. And I think I developed more empathy because she wrote me on my 49th birthday that, Mom, you made me believe in second chances. You listened to me without my words. You taught me that the better part of courage is, that discretion is the better part of courage, that this is more important and meaningful to be circumspect than fight battles with aggression and fire. She's a writer, obviously. But still, I think what she wrote was true. And she said, you led me to hold my head high in this service, even when scarred and burnt. And this is what I was talking about, the framework of Stephen Covey and the speed of trust. At the bottom is what Tita Bing said, you need to possess integrity. And you need to be authentic for you to have integrity in service. You need to be transparent, and that begins with your intent, with the agenda that you possess. And let me clear the air. Earlier, Tita Bing said, in those times, government was corrupt with envelopmental practice. And I heard somebody in the audience, well, until now. And let me say this, not to pick a fight, I'm a career officer. And corruption will not happen because if there are no two parties to it. So if no one pushes the envelope, no one will receive the envelope. But it takes courage, not bravery. It takes courage to do the right thing. And that's most often difficult. One of my hardest jobs was being resident ombudsman in the Department of Labor when Pat Santo Tomas was the secretary. You know why it was difficult? Because I was an assistant secretary. Remember I told you I started my work as a contractual employee in the Department of Labor where my superiors were the very same regional directors I would later on prosecute for corruption. That was tough. But and I would still call them sir, even if they were now my subordinates. I said, sir, I'm really sorry, but the basic guidance of Secretary Pat is this. If the case does not involve money, I have full latitude how to dispose of it. But if it involves money, I'm sorry, the full force of the law and the rules will apply. That's tough. But now, being transparent was, I didn't raise false expectations for them. I would always be above the board. I would always be forthright in telling them what to expect. I won't sugarcoat. And in the career service, you won't last long if you're not competent. And maybe I'll do a spoiler, because last January 8, I was in the palace. I accompanied career officers who took their oath. And I was told, Ma'am, your appointment is already for the signature of the president. You're going to this agency. I said, what? I did not submit any papers. And then she said, yeah, but we know you anyway, so we processed it. When I got home, I told my son, Josh, I was told in the palace earlier, my appointment is for signature of PRRD. And I'm going to this agency. Then he asks, is that good for you, Mommy? And my reply was, I'm not so sure. But I'm hoping and I am praying it is good for the country. And his reply warmed my heart. He said, yeah, at least they will have someone competent there. For my 17-year-old son, to say that of me, that's a lot, right? But also, if you notice, that my favorite picture of the TOYM award If you notice, I was holding the trophy with all pride. And then my 7-year-old son then, and my 5-year-old daughter, and my niece were all making faces in front of the Christmas tree. That's my favorite poem picture. Do you know why? Because it keeps me grounded. This trophy does not matter to these people who mattered to me. What matters, the trophy matters to me. I will always tell the TOIM Foundation when I serve, again, as a judge, as a screening committee member, I always tell them, the awardees are not being given the trophy to be recognized for the accomplishments. They are given the trophy to be reminded that they have to ennoble this recognition and do even furthermore and beyond what they can accomplish. And as I said, results. So we are judged by our performance track record. And I know you know what I mean. In the business sector, usually it's a triple bottom line. For those who practice spiritual leadership, you try to align the environment and the economy and the financial side of it. So I won't dwell on that. So this is Assistant Secretary Cora Davis of the DENR. And she's an awarded presidential awardee for Gawad Career Executive Service. Last Christmas, she sent me a card as a gift, but it was priceless because of what she wrote. She said, "Thank you, Tonette, for believing in me long before I believed in myself." Why am I showing this to you? Because the question of Gemma earlier, what's your brand? What's your brand? Last January 20, because yesterday was our launch of the inaugural conclave, and the theme was on spirit-led stewardship. The theme came to me after praying and after I received communion. And I was at a loss on how to approach it and discuss it with the group because there's no framework online. So I had to pray a lot to be guided to it. And one morning I woke up, so I realized, let me ask, as Gemma said, let me ask my staff in the Career Executive Service Board. So I wrote them a note. I said, "Hi guys, if there is one thing that I did for you in this organization that mattered to you the most, what would that be?" I got this sorts of answers. "Mom, you develop us, you coach, you mentor, you've set a mindset that every problem is a solution, you improve the working conditions of our people, you really depend and cultivated our sense of service and client orientation. You did all the reforms in the last 12 years you've been here. You taught us accountability." This is one staff who was a job order, a contractual. And after a year in my office, I organized review sessions for them to pass the civil service exam. And now she's a permanent employee. And this is what she wrote. She said, "Well, you gave me that sense of dignity, ma'am." She's a young mother. And not just for me, but how you value the whole staff and everybody who's part of the CSB. This is Mylene. I promoted her the other year, but she refused to move from her current division to the division where that position is located. And she wrote, she remembers the question when I sat down with her. I said, "How are you going to grow in your career if you're not going to, open up yourself to going somewhere different? Get out of your comfort zone, Mylene." And that's what she wrote. She said, "Thank you, Mom, for encouraging us to develop our career personality and enabling us and urging us to leave our comfort zone." These were other things that all my people wrote. So this is one evidence I am proud to show you. And just probably not to brag, but to affirm myself that, okay, my leadership mattered in this organization. And it is at this point that, so I separated this as a slide. If you notice, the previous slides had 2 boxes. But this one are the things that mattered to me the most also from what they said. They said, "I'm always approachable. My door is always open. The Viber, I respond by email, by text." Just as I walked in, my staff, a very young working student in UP Law, texted me, "Ma'am, I'm back in the office just to let you know, and thank you very much for your help. I am getting by with my medicines." He attempted to kill himself 2 weeks ago. And I sat down with him, which also bogged me down. But the earlier question, like how do you deal with millennials who get depressed? We have to take them seriously when they say, "I'm depressed," and really pave the way and handhold them to resources. So I commend that agency, that office of Gemma, who have third-party partners to help these people, because it's a real challenge. And you know what helped me deal with Gershon? And my time is up, but I'm almost done. So, are you good? Okay, will you allow me, please? Because I'm in between lunch. So anyway, so it was also in January. I told Tita Bing just before she went on stage, because she said, my son is finally a lawyer. I said, congratulations, Tita Bing. But you know, it's okay. It's not a race. My 17-year-old Asperger son went on leave from senior high school because he was depressed. I told him to Dr. Cornelio Banag, if you know him, he's the father of Philippine pediatric psychiatry, and sat through the session because I thought being an Asperger is too smart. I said, he is manipulating me. He just wants to get out of this school. But Dr. Banag told him after processing, you know, Josh, depression is a real thing. It's just a sickness, though. It's like having fever. You will get well, but while you're there, you will only see a dark cloud of darkness. You will not see anything in that cloud. But when you get out of that cloud, you will find many reasons to leave. I have an eidetic memory. That's another power I have. I memorize what people say, what you wear, where I met you first, and your names. And so that was so useful because when I sat my staff through, I was like, okay, you know what? I shared. Josh is medicating for depression. So do not be ashamed of what you're going through. My son's doctor said, it's just like fever. But I know, but I told him, you're going through grief, guilt, and rejection. Last year in November, his best friend, fraternity mate, succeeded in committing suicide. And so I know he had survivor guilt. So I've been watching him since then. And his girlfriend broke up with him. So I told him, you know, the only boyfriend I had in law school also broke up with me. And you're the only person I'm telling this, so don't tell the other staff. I said, that was tough for me because 5 years in law school, my God, I had to see him every day walking with his other girlfriend. And he did not even have the decency to break up with me properly. So I told him, you know what my strategy for coping was? DNE. What's that, ma'am? Every time I meet him, DNE. DNE, DNE. He does not exist. That was the young me, the unevolved self. Yeah. So I told Richard that last Monday, I took my oath as a new member of the Tourism Promotions Board. And on Friday, I'm going to be elected as a new Chief Operating Officer of TPB. And I said, wow, what a good time to be here, because I said, I'm so nervous, but I should do this because the work in that industry is tough. But like a good soldier and a career officer, I sail where the winds blow. I did not apply for that post. I did not seek it. It sought me. And so I know it is by God's grace that I'm going there. And as I told Josh, I'm hoping it is good for the country. And with your help, I know I'll do good. Maraming salamat.